If not, just turn your camera off. So if your camera is off, it's not gonna be showing. And also I think, because it's important, there are so many people that want to join, but they're not able to join. So we're gonna make sure that, they have, the video to watch it later. While we're waiting, some people coming, just in the chat again, I'm gonna ask you, put your name and also where you are joining us from. Yeah, just in the chat, write your name and then just tell us where you joining from. Yeah. Thank you, Ellie, from Room to Heal. Wow. Even we have people from Cambridge, Preston, Devon, woo, Newcastle, Belfast. Wow. Sorry, Buckinghamshire. My goodness. Oh, so exciting. Wow. Thank you, guys. That's the power of the Zoom, that, we have everybody have an opportunity to join and to be with us today. So I'm gonna just quickly start and just tell you a little bit how we're gonna be spending the time together. So we have wonderful speakers. We'll be hearing from Nadine, who will tell us a little bit about how she came to seek asylum in the UK and what does that mean with this new bill. Also, we have Sarah, who joined us from her local refugee action group in Ripon. And also we have Mabil and Emma, who will also tell us, give a little bit of tip how meeting your MP is like. So, and just to give you a little bit of flavor, yeah, why we are all here together. And it is to, we all aware of what Priti Patel and Boris Johnson and this government want to turn us to be by introducing this nationality and border bill. And I have come here, like many people certainly in this meeting today, to seek protection and to have an opportunity and have a chance to start a new beginning. And I used the means that was available for me to get here. And the way that I got here, for many, many people coming up, if that bill go through, would be deemed as illegal, as a criminal. Therefore, the bill is about deciding how, you go to the UK. If you go to the UK the way that they decided not to be that way, therefore you don't deserve, or you're not worthy of protection, from the UK government. And for me, it's simple. This bill is inhumane, it's cruel, and it does nothing to highlight how we people of this country are welcoming, are kind, and above all, we put people first. And this bill is just opposite, opposite to that. So, and we are here all together to want to make sure to tell our MPs, to tell the government that we are not going to get along with that, and we're going to oppose it, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that does not happen under our beautiful watch eye. So we have speakers, and all those speakers are going to talk to us about different elements of that bill and how that bill impacted them, and also what we will be doing to make sure that our MPs would do the job that we put them there to do. You know, they're there to represent us. Without us, they cannot be MPs, because we are the one that give them the power to be MPs. We are the one that employ them. So we are the one that need to tell them what they need to do. You know, that's why, you know, they're there. So by the end of this meeting, make sure to stick around and listen the action that I'm gonna be, you know, telling you all together we're going to achieve. That is a very, very element part of that. So we're gonna start by our first speaker, gonna be Tom from Together with Refugees, with a key concern, you know, to the bill. Tom, please.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Kolbasia, for that. Really pleased to be able to speak with you all this evening. Together with Refugees is a coalition of over 300 national and local organizations, including a whole range of refugee-led groups and NGOs representing people with lived experience. And we're working very closely with our members to fight the Nationality and Borders Bill, to engage parliamentarians and shift the political environment so that we win some concrete concessions while doing so. As I'm sure all of you know, the bill is jam-packed with extreme policy. It's inhumane, expensive, unworkable, undermines our international standing, and to top it off, it does precisely the opposite of what the government says it wants to do in fixing the broken asylum system. Now, the political realities and government majority mean the bill is likely to pass with few changes, but we're determined to make sure we use this moment to alert MPs to just how damaging the bill is and to build up long-lasting political support in Parliament for a more humane, fair and efficient system. We aren't expecting a general election for another 2 years, and we have to do all we can now to make sure we aren't in the same place a year on, and that we've delivered on boosting the level of support and understanding for our cause among MPs, and that we've shifted the terms of debate. We've made it harder for the Home Office to get away with those changes. And all of those things are within our grasp. There are so many problems with the bill, all of which are legitimate, but we need to send MPs a signal about which issues are going to have the worst impacts, and of all the solutions out there, which changes are genuinely possible to achieve with the bill. So with that in mind, we're focusing up, together with Refugees and our members, we're focusing our efforts on 2 key objectives. So firstly, in the short term, we're pressuring the government in a very targeted way to commit to an ambitious but deliverable target of at least 10,000 global resettlement places a year, including for Afghan refugees. Now, that change doesn't need legislation per se, but as there's currently no way to apply for asylum in the UK unless you're physically present, resettlement is one of the few existing safe routes that refugees have to come to the UK. So calling for a resettlement scheme is something we believe the government could accept as a reform to make as the bill goes through Parliament. It's tangible and it's a concrete ask that we think is within reach. Conservative MPs have also spoken in support of resettlement, especially in regard to Afghanistan. So it's an issue that has potential cross-party support, which is really critical for convincing the Home Secretary to change her mind on this. So what I'd share to you is that our ask for MPs from all parties is to speak out on the rationale and the need for a resettlement target and to support any future amendments on it. And some of the strongest arguments for that are that while we'd all welcome the commitment to resettle 5,000 Afghan refugees, that scheme, despite not being high enough, only deals with one geographical area, and it doesn't address the needs of people fleeing conflict in other parts of the world. And I think the other thing that's really compelling for MPs is that that case on resettlement has tended to do really well in public polling. And there's some YouGov stats that we can share after this call that kind of back that case. So we need a firm commitment and a target on that to hold the government to account And it's possible, but only if we can make our case to MPs in Westminster and especially at the constituency level. The second objective I wanted to share with you is a more longer term piece to build and strengthen and equip cross-party opposition to differentiated treatment that can challenge and stem the government's narrative that, constantly deflecting blame and penalising refugees, and that would give us a political platform to shift the public discussion and fight the government's approach on principle. So I'm referring to differentiated treatment. That's clause 11 in the bill, which allows the Home Office to treat refugees differently depending on how they arrive in the UK. And that includes many refugees who are forced to come here by irregular routes, such as in the back of lorries or taking dangerous journeys across the Channel. And they'll have restricted access to welfare support and family reunion, all of which are really disastrous outcomes. So on this front, we're calling on Labour and opposition MPs to engage with, to vote and to speak in favour of a specific amendment that has been tabled. So that's amendment number 8 currently with the bill, and that removes clause 11 altogether. For Conservative MPs who aren't likely to vote against the government, we're calling on them to engage with Home Office ministers, to write to them privately and to submit written parliamentary questions on specific concerns about the impact of clause 11. And then in the longer term, we want to work with MPs from all parties to build awareness of how appalling differentiated treatment is, why it erodes the UK's global reputation, and why it makes the system more unfair and inefficient. I can't stress enough how problematic clause 11 is, because it's at the very heart of the government's approach to refugee and asylum policy, and because it opens up the door to so many other problems for how refugees could be treated. So to make that case, we need to remind MPs that asylum cases shouldn't be based on someone's need for protection. Should be based on someone's need for protection and not on the journey they take to get to the UK. The other point I think that's worth mentioning is, for whatever their party, MPs also need to be aware that the majority of people who make an asylum claim in the UK have entered through those routes. So for Conservative MPs in particular, one effective argument would be to explain how those measures aren't helping reduce people making dangerous journeys, but instead they're more likely to impact the most traumatized and the most vulnerable people that Conservatives often, like to talk about as being most in need. So landing those messages on those two key priorities is really important for you, so that you've got a clear idea of the objectives and concerns to raise in your meetings with MPs, which arguments are going to be more persuasive, and crucially, what actions opposition and Conservative MPs can actually do. And by concentrating on those two concerns with the bill in the constituency level, our calls and the united front that we present are going to be more powerful and help us to make a dent in the bill. So I'd really encourage you to take a look at the material we're going to be sharing after this call, to have a look at those two priorities and some of the arguments we've put underneath them, to make sure that your meetings are as effective as they can be. Thanks. I'll hand back to you, Corbasia.
Thank you very much, Tom. That is excellent. I think there is so much that we get from just listening to you and tabling those two amendments. And I just want to say to people that don't be concerned. I mean, everybody that's there, all their information will be sent to you later. And also, stay tuned. We have a session where we will be getting a tip of how to meet your MP. So we're not going to let you drive, but we give you all the tools necessary to make the meeting with your MPs as successful, as possible. Thank you. I think the next person that will be speaking, Nadine. I think I'm going to say just a little bit about Nadine. I don't think that she will be. She's so humble to say. that. But one thing that I want to say to you about Nadine is that she is now the Foreign and Commonwealth Office survivor champion of the UK Preventing Sexual Initiative. Let me explain to you the context. It means that Nadine represents the United Kingdom all around the world when it comes down to making sure that sexual violence does not happen and making sure that survivors of sexual violence receive the necessary support, making sure that survivors of sexual violence receive the protection. And if the bill right now go past, people like Nadine, people like myself, which right now representing the country, won't have the chance to do so. So Nadine, please.
Thank you, Kovasia. Thank you, everyone, for taking time in the evening to come and join us listening. I think we're talking about one of the most important topics of the century. And you can imagine how refugee, even those who are already given protection and those who hope to get protection in anywhere in the world, will be feeling about the impact of what is going to be like, coming to the UK, if they made it to the UK and going through the new Borders Bill. So my name is Nadine. Yes, I mean, I'm going to try and speak about myself. I come from the DRC. I came 20 years ago in the United Kingdom. If you know, around 1997, the war started in my country. It used to be a very nice country, peaceful. The war started. When we had the change of regime, there was a message on the radio saying that people from Tutsi background should be killed. Literally, the president gave permission to anyone who was a good citizen to kill people from Tutsi background. I'm a Congolese from my mother's side, and my father was from Tutsi background. So that's when really our nightmare, my family nightmare started. Suddenly, our neighbor, we could no longer trust, people next to us. Our neighbor, when we walk on the street, people would stop us and said, "You don't look Congolese enough. You're not from this country." We resisted. We didn't give up, leave our country so easily because, it's my country. In fact, me personally, I never been to Rwanda. I grew up in Congo. Congo is all I knew. And, everybody changed and people were killed on the street until the attack started, in the houses. Family were targeted and my family was targeted. So without going into too much details, you can imagine, when you live in a certain part of the world, you have soldier coming into your house, what will happen to you? Fortunately for us, my dad, he didn't make it. We managed to stay alive and went into hiding. And as a result, I left the country. We split, and that's when my journey really, we seeking asylum began. And fortunately enough, I'm saying fortunately enough because I believe that this country is great. I love this country, and it is now my country. In fact, I have not been back. I hope I will one day. So this is my country, and I think that it is a great country. And really today is about making sure that this country remains a great country. And I want to say that when I came, there were refugee camps in the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. Many families also tried to go in the refugee camp, but there was so many things going on there. In fact, some people were still attacked there. The security was not good, and people really spent time. I left in 2000, but the conflict started in 1997. You can imagine, family living there for years and children. So you stop education, you can't do anything, you can't go to work, basically in the camp waiting. Information wasn't really given like that much to really what was going to happen. People were basically just waiting. And I'm not talking about a month, I'm talking about years. But for me, my family, we took on, on a different route. We decided because the safety, was still a big issue. And the idea of really falling again in the hand of the soldier, was just not something that, we wanted to be going through again. And I personally am back, as a young woman, then young lady under 25. on a dangerous journey, using someone else's passport to leave my country. And I cannot tell you how I risked my life. It was really dangerous, went through a lot and took a big risk to save my life. And I really want to emphasize on that, because I think that we really misunderstand that, people take dangerous route because they have no choice. People do not have the luxury to choose on the method on which they need to leave the country, and seek safety. I didn't come directly from Congo. And when I arrived in the UK, I did not go to the Home Office straight away. I didn't know about claiming asylum, nothing. I have no knowledge of claiming asylum. I always say, I don't know. I just felt like, I'll come and then I'll be safe and they will let me stay. Until when I went to an organization and told them my story, I was given a piece of paper with, an address and a place to go. Then when I explained, and they explained to me that I had to go to the Home Office. Under the new Borders Bill, you can imagine that automatically what this would have meant is, I will be classified as an illegal refugee. So what we're seeing really, then, it didn't matter in which method, I came. And I don't think it should, because I think it makes a difference. That is not the point about being a refugee, the method in which you arrive. Under the, I think Thomas mentioned some of them, the Tucci system, the different treatment of, classifying people class 1 and 2 because of the method in which you arrive. I just don't think that, it's fair to treat refugees in that way. And also, someone in my case, if I came today, let's say in the 6-month time when, if the bill passes, I would not be given, I'll be given a temporary protection and not be given, a full refugee protection that I was able to get in this country. And also that means that it doesn't matter how genuine my case will be, or the reason that I left my country of fear of persecution or death, but instead the bill will put emphasis, more weight on the method of arrival. And like I said, being a refugee has nothing to do with the way you come. Refugee cannot choose how they are, they leave the country. And also, that being a classified class 2 refugee will also mean that I will not be allowed to apply automatically for family reunion unless seeking permission in court. I was able, after some time, to be reunited with my brother. And when he was in detention, we were able to stop his refoulement because we could establish his connection to me. And I remember, we went to court, the judge saying how we had the same story. And if I was given a refugee status, why, could he not receive the same statement? And that's how my brother was also able to get protection. And also what would, under this bill, what this would have meant is that because I arrived, coming to Congo, you will not come, with a direct plane. My case will also be considered inadmissible because I will be considered someone who had an opportunity to come to another country. This proposal is that, if you a person who is claim is deemed to be inadmissible if the applicant has traveled through or has connection to a safe third country where they could have claimed asylum. So my connection, then was another African country that I know was not safe. And I think that this rule is unfair, and people really need to understand that, because we know a lot of people only hear what they are told, and the facts are not presented properly. And people often, want to be with the family, and that is a really good reason for one person to reach a certain country. And to really suggest or denying that refugees simply suggest that, that someone who comes, to a certain country, even though they had an opportunity in another country, just suggests that really refugees, are less of human being, or really the human right don't matter. Everybody deserves the right to be with a family member. So under this bill, my claim would be inadmissible, and I really wouldn't get a chance to have the status that I have, because I have not used the resettlement schemes. And I have to say, even with what was going on, the whole world knew what was going on in DRC. There were images, there's so many evidence of people, being killed all kinds of way. There was not a resettlement scheme that was taking people like me and, you know, bring them to safety. And what do we expect people to do? People have to try and survive. Yeah, it is, you know, a human instinct. And the other thing as well that really worries me is that under this bill, the Home Office is, you know, is allowed to provide an applicant with an evidence notice to be issued and requiring them to provide an evidence in support of the claim before a specified date. And if they fail to do so, that will be, the provision is going to say that they arrived late. It took me time, you know, to disclose important evidence on my case, not alone to be referred, you know, I treat them from torture, starting therapy then, and only after that, I had an MLR, and despite gathering that, after a certain time, the Home Office kept me, you know, waiting then for 7 years, and I had to chase for my case to be resolved. And more importantly, we need to understand that in order for someone who is vulnerable to disclose evidence that's important for their case, one needs space. It's not easy. You know, people just sometimes don't really know when is the opportunity to say. They don't even know what it is that they need to say in order to support the case. We need the right space, you know, for people to be able to disclose the evidence. Even the MLR, it takes time to do that. And any other possible evidence that can be used, you know, for someone's case to be successful. And this to me is another way of trying, you know, to use a tool, a bill. You know, I'm seeing the law as something that is there to be, you know, reinstating people's rights. The law should not be used to do wrong to people, not even to refugees. So this bill is going to use a tool and prevent vulnerable people from getting access to sanctuary. And before I finish, I also wanted to touch on the right to work, because I think it's important, you know, because a lot of the stigmatization that we receive, that the refugee going, you know, under the way that maybe the media portrays that, you know, refugee come in and get a job and they do so. There are a lot of able people, and if they are given an opportunity to work, they will be able to work. You know, the refugee are people, they have story, they are doctors, they are teachers, they are valuable human beings. They have skill that can be useful to this country. And I live in a hostel. And so how many women were giving themselves to prostitution simply because they had no money, not enough money. Life was just too hard. And the problem with the anti-refugee bill is that it's failing to recognize that refugee, and I want to say migrant, are people, human beings who should not be put in boxes, but have experiences, stories that need to be listened to. And beyond all of us, you know, like Kobasi said, beyond Kobasi, beyond me and everybody here, and I'm sure I'm speaking for many people, you know, there is a story that is worth listening to. Beyond all these people that are on the boats, planes that are coming in all sort of way, they are a story of human being. And before I finish, I want to say that the Refugee Convention is the only international agreement that governs the treatment of people fleeing persecution and crossing borders in order to do so. If the UK abandoned its commitment to this convention, what should other signatories do the same? Not do the same, I wanted to say. Without the convention, we have only moral duty to enforce the principle of non-refoulement and protect refugees from return to torture and persecution. And this moral duty is in crisis. And that is why we need you to do whatever you can, you know, to stop this. Government around the world, including the UK, we can see now are refusing responsibility for the assessment and protection of people fleeing persecution. And in terms of the number, because here in the UK, we have no idea how hurtful refugees are feeling about the fact that people keep saying on the media and every day, there are too many people coming. Too many are coming to the UK, where we know that the UK ranks low on the chart. 51,000 sought asylum. We know, you know, I won't go into detail of the number. And its influence regionally and globally, it's very significant. Kobasi has mentioned, you know, how we are champion. He and I are champion for the UK government Preventing Sexual Violence Initiative in conflict zone. We go on telling, you know, others to behave better and treat survival better. But when they arrive in our borders, we refuse to take them in. Recently, you must have heard, maybe the Home Secretary said she did not trust the Afghan people with girls and women. My question is she going to trust this girl and the women with the stories when they arrive here? Because we know how, you know, people's stories are not believed, the disbelief culture, you know, the treatment is so unfair and so inhumane. And that is why I heard you to go and see your local MP and ask them to vote against this bill and let this country welcome refugees like myself. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Nadine, that is really powerful. I think if I may add one thing on what Nadine says, that since I came in this country, my trust to humanity is restored because of every single of you. The support, the welcoming, the dignity, the respect, the treatment that I receive in this country allow me to be who I am today, and to be even given an opportunity to do the thing that I love, helping people, supporting, fighting against torture, helping this country till, I was given MBE by the Queen because I was given the chance. And this bill, I'm not gonna get that chance. And anybody in my position come here will not get that chance. As Nadine said, that's our fight, all of us, no matter where we come from, no matter if we are born here, no matter who we are, no matter what is our name, that is our fight. Because at the end of the day, this government, this bill, wanna tarnish our image, wanna tarnish our integrity, wanna tarnish who we are as human beings, as people. And I'm gonna introduce the next person. That is the same fight that Sarah is taking, volunteering. Yes, Sarah, please.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be with you. And thank you so much, Nadine and Tom and Kobasia, for such powerful statements. I have to say I'm a little intimidated to have to follow all of you, but I will do my best. I'm just here to share a few minutes of my own experience, my own story. I started volunteering with the Ripon City of Sanctuary about 5 years ago when I moved from London to North Yorkshire. I had come to the UK back in 2009 as a migrant myself, and I had experienced a great welcome. And I felt as I settled into my new community, I wanted to extend that welcome to some new refugees that were arriving. So I was working to help 3 families learn English, get acclimated. And in the process of working and supporting those refugees, I started to learn about the process, the whole asylum system, and the sort of varying levels of treatment that existed within the UK, and really the frankly horribly hostile policies. So I felt like this was so unjust and unfair, and it didn't reflect any of the experiences I had had and the Britain that I wanted to become part of. So we started regularly meeting with our MP. And so over the last 4 or 5 years, we've probably met with my local MP about 5 times. He is Julian Smith. I live in the Ripon Skipton constituency, and he was formerly, he's a Conservative MP, and he was in the cabinet of Theresa May. He was Chief Whip for a number of years, and then he became Secretary for Northern Ireland. He no longer is in the cabinet. But what's been fantastic about that journey of meeting with him regularly and highlighting various concerns along the way, the challenges around the fact that asylum seekers aren't allowed to work, or that people aren't allowed to be reunited with family members, is that we've established a real rapport, and he does listen to us, and we do write him regularly. We've met him twice over the last 6 months to express our concerns about the new immigration plan and the current Nationality and Borders Bills that goes through. And he always gives us time. And I think it's really important to sort of recognize that when we've in meeting regularly, we've been able to kind of express those concerns, and he's seen the growth of our group and what kind of activities are happening. I think in our most recent meeting with him, which was less than 2 weeks ago, we focused on a couple key issues. One was around the international law and how this bill is going to dismantle some of our commitments under international law. I think, frankly, from his perspective, he's much more concerned about what that would say for Britain's place in the global community if we start to be seen to be reneging on international treaties and commitments, like the Refugee Convention or maritime law, or and what was also quite heartening in my most recent session is when we were talking about the processing centers approach, and he recognized the idea of offshoring was, as he said to me, it was a nuts idea. So it made me feel as if we have been making some traction and educating him along this path to learning a bit more. I think the other thing that I would really encourage all of you who are thinking about reaching out to your MPs is to also stress, and what I always stress in my meetings with him, is that there is a wide sense of welcome across our community. So in the context of where I live, I emphasize the fact that we have several schools of sanctuary. We have been regularly working with and are beneficiaries of partnerships with other community organizations. So we partner with the Ripon Cathedral. We work with local faith institutions. The Rotary Club donates regularly to what we do. So when we go to him, we don't just go to them as representatives of a refugee sector supporting organization. We go as members of a community that are opening its arms. We've been able to say to him in the last 6 months, we've been able to fundraise so effectively that we think that we'll be able to bring 2 families over through community sponsorship. We've been able to share with them that our latest arrival on the resettlement program, who arrived yesterday, had their home outfitted with a huge number of donations from our local community. So I really encourage all of you, as you reach out to your MPs, to think about ways in which you can reference other activities that are happening in your communities to show that welcome, because it's really important. We are their constituents. I mean, as Kolbasia said at the top of the hour, we employ them. And so use that power, show them how your community is welcome. And if there's any way that you need support in thinking about reaching out to mainstream organizations, I also happen to work for City of Sanctuary, so I'm happy to give you some ideas on that. But I really strongly encourage all of you to think about how you can reach out to your MPs. I know we're running a little bit over, so I'm going to wrap up there with my statements, but it's just to say that as intimidating and scary as it felt a few years ago in those first meetings with my MP, I've learned that they're humans. They want to hear from their constituents, and they need to hear from their constituents, and they need to know why this bill is so dangerous, not just for individuals who are fleeing sanctuary, but for all of us who want to build welcoming, supportive, cohesive communities. So thank you everybody for letting me have a chance to just share a little bit of what I've experienced. I'll drop my email in the chat if anyone wants to find out more about things we've been doing. We are trying to connect up with other local City of Sanctuary groups so that what we do in one area in North Yorkshire gets spread out. And I think that's a really rich thing. So I encourage people to consider ways that you can also partner with neighboring constituencies to help your voice get heard louder. Thanks so much for letting me be here tonight, and back to you, Kolbasia.
Thank you, Sarah. It's our privilege, to have you here. Thank you, and also especially, sharing with us what a wonderful job you're doing. So I'm gonna move straight away to our next speakers, and before that, I'm gonna again stress that after that we have the call to action that we all gonna do it together. So stick around is really important part of that gathering today. So yeah, Emma and Mabel from Refugee, Refugee Action, Asylum Matters. Yeah.
Hi. Hi, thank you. I think we've heard a bit already, but basically we're here just to talk about the importance of engaging with your MPs at constituency level. As we've heard from the other speakers, it's so important that people are vocal and tell their MPs that they want a different approach. And we know from our experience of working at a local level across the country that the most effective way to do that is through talking to them as constituents. And that includes MPs from all parties, opposition parties and the governing party. Whatever you think their views are, it's still really important to engage with them. Because even if you know that they're supportive, it's really important to help keep them informed and makes it clear that their constituents support them too, even sort of giving them that political cover to speak up. And if you think that they're opposed, they still need to hear from you, because they need to get that message that actually this bill isn't popular. And as Sarah was saying, they need to hear that there is that culture of welcome in their local communities and feel the pressure of public opposition locally. And just a point as well about the importance, not just about engaging MPs, but also local and devolved decision makers too, because there's often a more supportive political consensus at that level, and it's something that we can leverage up to the UK government level too. So I'll try to be brief because I know we haven't got a huge amount of time, but just in terms of tips for engaging your MP from our experience, first of all, do your research, look at their interests and background as an MP. Is there a particular issue they might be more interested in? What's their majority in their seat and the sort of political makeup of their constituency, because we know MPs in marginal seats can be a lot more responsive to that pressure. Look as well, have they said anything on these issues before you go and talk to them, just so you know where they're coming from. Talk to them as their constituent. As we've sort of said already, you know, they need to know that people in their local community do not support this bill and want to welcome refugees. Work with others if you can, particularly other sort of asylum and refugee organisations, and also, you know, wider community connections that there might be into that MP's office. We've had a lot of success doing this with local community projects and faith leaders who already have links to that MP. Always remember that a lot of MPs, particularly those outside of asylum dispersal areas or newer MPs, have very little understanding of the reality of the asylum system. And we found like you can have quite a lot of traction just explaining to them the realities of what people face. And linked to that, you know, if you can have someone in the meeting who's got lived experience of the asylum system themselves, because that's the most powerful way to persuade people, is when they hear about people's direct experiences. Also, you know, put them in touch with some of those local partner organisations and offer to arrange visits and give them information about the situation facing people on the ground in their constituency. Look for some of the issues that can provide particular hooks, particularly for MPs who aren't necessarily on the same page as us, because we know some issues like Afghanistan or the Lift the Ban campaign, for example, have got a lot of cross-party support and public sympathy. So try and look for that common ground that you might have with the MP and lead with that in your way, as your way to talk about the wider issues with the bill. Also, you know, be really clear about the problems with the bill, particularly when you're talking to Conservative MPs who are likely to, you know, be supportive of the government's approach. We need to talk about the fact that this bill isn't just cruel, it's also ineffective. You know, we know that it's going to make the Home Office even more bureaucratic and expensive and inefficient, and it's not achieving what the government actually say that they want to achieve. So it's important that Conservative MPs get that message too. And, you know, lastly, just use this as an opportunity to build an ongoing relationship with them. Give them ideas of things that they could do, like, you know, table parliamentary questions or write to the Home Secretary, and just you know, keep engaging with them and giving them information, not only as this bill goes through Parliament, but in future. And I can hand over to my colleague Emma now to just talk briefly about how some of this has happened in practice on the ground in some of our areas.
Hi there, thanks Mavli, and thanks to all the other speakers, fantastic today. I will be very quick because I know we're running out of time. I just wanted to give you some ideas of how we kind of worked, myself and another colleague, one with a very supportive MP who was a Labour MP, and then Conservative MPs that were more resistant, shall we say. So I met with Taiwo Atemi, she's on the bill committee, so fully on board and completely understands, probably knows the bill better than most people we know. So it was quite daunting in that respect. But we brought together a group of organisations. There was the Law Centre there, there was a local refugee migrant centre there was a group called Carag, a group of people with lived experience, and the local food bank came along as well. So we were able to show that there was there was a large part of support there. There was a number of organisations coming from different standpoints. We decided the two areas we wanted to just highlight to it that we were really concerned about was a two-tier system and accommodation centres. But then we were able to kind of give some examples from Coventry around why we thought this was an issue. There was somebody there from Afghanistan who's talked about coming here after the bill and the situations in Afghanistan, but also some of the immigration lawyers that came along were able to talk about the issues around temporary status and how that's going to impact on workload for the Home Office, but also for themselves. The accommodation centres, there's a lot of issues with people living in hotels at that moment in time, and has been going on for the last 2 years. So we were really able to give her some really good examples there that she can take away and she can hopefully use in any kind of parliamentary speeches. We also then did talk about the current system, and we had people there to talk about going through the asylum system and what it was like, and obviously then flip siding that over to say that obviously this bill won't help. We also gave us some solutions of other things that could be put forward to lift the ban, increasing asylum support, and having accommodation in communities with local authority support and funding. So that's one, a very supportive one. Very quickly, talking about Conservative MPs, a colleague of mine, Jen, in the North East, she basically met with an MP who was on the APPG on integration. So this again is about research, getting to know. They started, which I think is a better tactic with Conservative MPs, with what the asylum system is like. Very often, as people have already said, they don't know what it's like, they don't know how it is, and you can explain that it is a broken system, it's not a great system, and it doesn't work, and it puts people through immense pain and torture. But in the end, is that the bill will not bring about any kind of reform to that. It will actually make it worse. They then talked about the bill specifically around integration. So talking about people would get, if they got NRPF and the temporary status, how they wouldn't be able to rebuild their life. Apparently he was quite, he did challenge them on a number of things, but afterwards did write a written parliamentary question asking about how the government would support people to rebuild their lives after they'd gone through this system. So they did obviously have some kind of effect there. And just very quickly, just to mention that she also had another meeting with another MP, and that was sorted out by the local bishop. So again, try and find allies, try and find people in the local community that can get that access in, because they tried and tried and tried, and once the bishop got involved, then they came. So those are just some quick top tips from examples that we've gone through. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Emma, and thank you, Mably. That is wonderful. So there is Emma and Mably, there's a few questions, because I think we are tight on time. I'm just gonna pick like maybe a couple, and so I think the questions read. Let me just make sure I read the question correctly. Is that what can we do to help if our constituency MP is already supportive? How can we have influence in other areas?
Yeah, I mean, I can sort of just briefly answer that and emphasize the point we were sort of making earlier, really, that even if they're supportive, it's still really important that they get that that support from you in a way, and that information from you about the problems with the bill and what exactly you want to see them do. So, if they've already committed to voting against the bill, is there other stuff that they can do, like make that support really, really vocal, like talk about it on social media, use their column in the local newspaper to make these points. But also, more broadly, it's really important for the opposition MPs that they have what we call political cover, to be as vocal and as opposed to this bill as possible, because they need to be able to say, look, actually the public support is with us, like our constituents are the ones who are welcoming, want to see a different approach, because we know that the other side always claim that they're the ones with the support of the public. So that's what we need to change.
Oh, thank you. And there's one more question, and then I think we need to go into the call to action. The question is, what if my MP won't meet me or won't respond?
I don't know if that was directed at anyone, Kobasi. I'm happy to kind of share my humble penny's worth.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't think that's an uncommon problem, particularly if your local MP is a loyal Conservative MP. I think there's probably a couple of different tactics that you can deploy that can increase the pressure and make it more difficult for an MP to ignore you. So some of the things Mably was saying earlier around know who your target is. Do a bit of background research on them. What kind of wing of the party are they coming from? What are the interests they have in the constituency level? What things are they not like doing? What are they spoken about in Parliament? And I think, if you can build a bit of a picture of identifying what's the one issue of common ground, or something that the MP doesn't even necessarily need to agree with you. If the area is, for instance, a high dispersal area, or you've had a lot of resettled families, or the local authority knows that there are issues on accommodation, that's an issue that the MP may not agree with you on, but has to take a position. And if you can offer anything, I think that strengthens your case from the constituency level, things, for instance, look, we can introduce you to people with lived experience. We've got, there's a hotel in your constituency. You must come and meet with some of the people that are on the front line. And I also think anything that, if you kind of putting ourselves in the shoes of MPs, what would make a meeting with you more appealing from their perspective as well? Could it be if you can offer them, some useful guidance for their caseworkers, for instance? Can you signpost if they've got, hundreds of cases working with refugees or people seeking asylum? Are there any local community groups that you can signpost them onto? Can you offer them a photo opportunity? I'm not saying there is a silver bullet, because there isn't, and you may well end up with the door firmly shut in your face, but I'm just saying that I think there are some, a couple of different tactics that you can try deploying that might be able to push the door a bit more.
Thank you, Tom. So I think we're gonna get into the, I would say, the most important part of the, our gathering today is, what we need to do. I mean, we heard, great speakers. I am really pumped up. I'm really motivated by all, all the presenters today. So much insight and so much helpful. So now we together need to talk to our MPs. Basically, I'm going to ask you for a present, because today is my birthday. So I'm going to ask you for a present. I want your finger to be happy trigger. So we're going to share a link, right? We're going to share a link, and the link is to send email to your MP. All right. So what do you need to do? That's a present, yeah, for me, yeah. What do you need to do? You need to fill your name, your address, and email, and then that will be sent to your MPs with the information that need to be sent to your MPs. You don't have to worry. Everybody, because after that we're gonna send even more information on how meeting your MPs and all those kind of things. You will be sorted out. I don't know if my colleagues already put. Thank you, guys. Keep the keep the finger trigger happy to send that. Okay, then the information, the link is already here. Can you see it? Can you click onto the link and go now? Thank you, guys. Great. So that's the link. So click the link, go into the link now, fill in your name, your address, your email address, and send to your MPs. And there is, body of the email will be sent to your MPs. All right, good. It's been done. Thank you. Barbara said that my MP is it that's what you mean, Barbara? Like my MP won't answer unless I include my phone number. Emma, Tom, Mably, anyone? Is it necessary that somebody put their phone number before the MP's answer?
No, you shouldn't need to do that.
All right, excellent. I think, you know, you put the MP in that position, you know, they need to be accountable to you. So send them that email. Don't put your number if you don't want to put your number. And, you know, it's their responsibility, it's their duty, you know, to respond to you. So guy, keep sending. And I think Sarah said that the MP, honestly, my experience with MP, they're very, very friendly. You know, that is their job to be seen that, you know, they're engaging with their constituency. Otherwise, you know, they don't have a constituency. So keep sending that email. All right, so thank you, Tom. Tom share a link with all the lists of the MPs in response to the question. MP were on the bill committee, so that's the MP bill committee. Thank you, Sylvia. Sylvia already, you know, completed. Fantastic, Paul. But keep sending. Yes, just keep sending. We keep reminding those MPs, even those MPs that are sympathetic, we keep reminding them that we are standing up, you know, for this bill, for them not to lose, you know, sight of it. Well done. Oh, I see so many done. Excellent, excellent. Oh, wow, the 50 people already sent. Keep rising the numbers, please. Thank you, Rachel. Someone say, Sarah saying that can I do this with just is that indefinitely live and remain? Thank you. Keep doing it, Ben. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Kate. Yeah, indefinitely live to remain. Of course you can do that. Oh, thank you. 60 people. Keep doing it, please. Let's send it. Let's send it. You know, that's why, you know, they will hear from us. I think, you know, we love this country and we want to make this country proud. And I think, you know, treating people with respect and dignity is the minimum that as a human being, you know, we can do. And, you know, you can answer to somebody yes or no, but how you answer yes or no is matter, right? And we want to make sure that this country is a great country. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah, keep doing it. Well done. Well done. Thank you so much, Melanie. Thank you, everybody, for coming. That was a wonderful. You're so much a nice, very, very nice, very kind participant, very kind audience. Thank you. And also, I think, you know, when if your MP replied to you, respond to your email, please could you let us know so, you know, we can track how MPs kind of responding. Yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you, Jane. That's really kind of you. Thank you. I think it's our fight together. And you can see today how many people lived experience, and also how many of us, you know, people are working in the sector, volunteers, everybody, you know, coming together so that, you know, we make sure that Priti Patel does not turn us to a monsters, because we refuse that. We refuse that. We will fight everything with every inch, with every might that we have to make sure that Priti Patel does not get her way. Thank you, guys. Excellent. And also, I think we're going to post a link to a Facebook group, so you can join that too, so we can, you know, unite organizations. And do we have you know, do we have the Facebook link? Wonderful. So we posted the Facebook group as well. So please, could you also you know, join the organization, because more we are together, stronger we're gonna be, and stronger we'll be standing. Thank you, Mahmoud, for sending email to your MPs. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Shay. You guys, you're wonderful. Thank you. So how many we have so far? Send the list. Oh wow, 112. Okay, thank you, guys. That is honestly, I cannot say thank you enough to you all, and it is, for me, you know, the number of speakers, and also the insight and motivation and inspiration that we got from our speakers today is just, I mean, beyond belief. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Mably. Thank you, Tom, Nadine. Did I miss anybody? Thank you. Did I miss anybody?
I don't think you missed anyone, but can I just very quickly share, just for everyone that's still on the call, for Together with Refugees mentioned, we'll be following up, I think, within the next week or so with what I discussed, the specific actions that we're advising people to take with their MPs, and some of those kind of background arguments that you can make as well. So do keep your eyes peeled for that, and it will be out there and with you over the coming week or two.
Thank you, guys. With everybody, and with, you know, the energy that, you know, we have today, and everybody you know, support, we won't stop until refugees are welcome in this country. We stand with refugees together, and we do everything in our power that people are treated with respect and dignity, and also we show our face as a welcoming people. Thank you. Have a great evening, and, you know, bye for now. Hope to see you in our next. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Kobasi.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, thank you.
Thanks so much, Kobasia.
No, thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Happy birthday, Kobasia.
Thank you, Nadine.
See you, folks.
That's, yeah, Ben. Thank you.